What is up, everybody? It's Ray Raj showing you how to do some custom Louis Vuitton Air Force Ones. And in case you couldn't tell, the sun is in my eyes. It is really blinding me. My acne is breaking out, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. But I'm also not afraid to admit that I just came out of the barbershop. I got this fresh cut, fresh fade, fresh lineup, looking fresh all around. Kind of, sort of, minus the things I said in the beginning. It's all right. Anyway, I'm going to show you how to do those Air Force Ones Louis Vuitton so you can do it for yourself. Anyway, let's get started. You're gonna need some nail polish remover with acetone, cotton rounds or cotton balls, Angelus flat white and red paint. Make sure you have some masking tape and an X-Acto knife. Either the Angelus high gloss acrylic finisher or their matte acrylic finisher. Then you're going to need some Louis V stencils, and I'm gonna put a link below as to where you can get those, and later on I'll show you how to cut them too. And then I also got the Supreme hang tag just to make my sneakers look a little cooler. Using an airbrush is completely optional, but if you do use one, then also make sure you use some Angelus Too Thin. Now here, the only thing I'm doing is prepping the surface that I'm going to be painting. I'm using my nail polish remover and cotton rounds just to remove the factory finish. And this step is really important because if you don't do this, then the paint won't stick to the shoe. Here, all I'm doing is taping up the areas of the shoe that I do not want the paint to get on. So we're done taping now, and I ran out of tape, so I put a Ziploc bag around the shoe. I quickly learned that that's not a good idea, but you'll see why not later. All I'm doing here is mixing my paint with my Too Thin. When you do this, make sure you have a 1-to-1 ratio, and the reason you do this is so that the paint is thin enough to flow through the airbrush. So we're finally at the part we've all been waiting for, the part where we start painting the shoe. As you can see, I'm using an airbrush. If you do not have one, that is fine. Just use a paintbrush. However, with the airbrush, make sure you hold it around 6 to 8 inches away from the shoe. This will prevent the paint from coming out too blotty. And in addition, also make sure you do a few thin coats as opposed to just 1 or 2 thick coats. That'll make sure the paint comes out looking a little nicer and everything as well. Now I'm using a heat gun to make the paint dry a little bit faster before I put on my next coat. This is completely optional, but it'll speed up the process for you. Now I'm doing the other side of the shoe. I'm gonna go ahead and speed up the process for you since it's basically the exact same thing. Using my X-Acto knife, I'm just peeling off the stencils. I recommend you take your time when you're doing this, especially if you're still pretty new at it, just so you don't ruin any of your stencils. I'm going to put the link in the description as to where you can purchase some of these. Now I'm just cutting approximately how much I think I'm going to need for the shoe. I usually cut the LV by itself and put it towards the top of the Nike swoosh. You don't have to do that. I haven't really seen anybody else that does that. I just like to do it because I like how it comes out. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is put your transfer tape over the stencils that you just cut out, and then I usually use a water bottle or something else to go over it just to make sure that the transfer tape and the stencils just stick together, as you can see me doing right there. Now before you freak out saying that I didn't tell you that you needed transfer tape at the beginning of the video, this transfer tape actually comes with the stencils when you purchase them from D Nice Customs, so as long as you get the stencils, you'll be alright. Now, as you can see, I've already cut out most of the transfer paper, so you're going to want to go ahead and do that, and make sure you leave anywhere between 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch, or maybe even a full inch of room on each side of the stencil, just so when you go to peel the transfer tape off of the stencil, it's a little easier. Now, to peel off the transfer tape, I usually start from the bottom right corner. It doesn't matter what corner you start from, it's just my preference, and then I just peel it off just like that. Now I'm just going to place the stencil on the part of the shoe that I want it to go on. Now, I would recommend using the same water bottle or whatever it was that you used originally to make sure that the stencil and the transfer tape stuck together, just to make sure that it really sticks to the shoe. As you can see, I used the water bottle again and the X-Acto knife just to make sure that that stencil was really sticking to where I wanted to paint over. Now I cleaned out my airbrush and I put white paint in it. Now I'm just spraying the paint onto the shoe. Now, as you can see, I did get some overspray. I guess the Ziploc bag wasn't the best idea, but for the sake of this video, I'm kind of glad I did get that overspray just so I can show you how to remove it. And one more thing, I always take off the shoelaces before I start doing anything. I'm not sure why I forgot to do that at the start of this shoe, but please remember while you're watching this video, before you actually start your shoe, take the shoelaces off. Luckily, I did have some extra Air Force One shoelaces that I swapped out, but it's better to not have to do that, so just remember to take the shoelaces off. Now, as you can see, I just poured my nail polish remover onto a cotton round, and I'm just going to start removing all the paint that I do not want on there. Now that we got rid of all the red, I'm just spraying the Angelus acrylic finisher on the paint so that the paint job stays. I didn't record myself doing this, but I did use a paintbrush just to cover up some minor details that were left red. Now I just laced the shoes back up and I'm about to put my Supreme hang tag on there. Everybody, that's it for the video. I have 116 subs, but at 10,000 seems like a mile away. Actually, it seems like a world's away. Whenever we get to 10,000 subs, I'm gonna give away a pair of shoes just like the one you saw today. So if you want to try to win a pair, just like and subscribe, share this video. At 10,000, that's gonna happen. So thank you for sticking around, and I'll see you all next time.